Hello guys, welcome to another video. This one is paper 1-3 of November 2020 for Ag Math. So let's move on to question number 1. So let's see what do we have here. So here we have what? On the axis below, we have to sketch this graph showing the intercept of the axis. So pretty easy. The first step is always to go for the axis. So what do you know at x-axis? So we say, so let's write this down. We say at x-axis, we know the value of y is 0. So you place 0 here in the equation, you will have x minus 2, x plus 1, and 3 minus x is 0. Now we have to solve for the values of x. So x will be 2, x will be minus 1, and x will be 3. So now let's mark those x's on the x-axis. So x2, let's say x2 should be somewhere here. x3 should be somewhere, let's say here. Okay, it doesn't need to be exact because it is only a sketch. Sketch is not draw. Sketch doesn't need to be exact. Now minus 1 should be somewhere, let's say about here. Okay, so that is for the x-axis. Now let's find out what happens on the y-axis. So we have to know on the y-axis, so at y-axis, the value of x is 0. Okay, so we place x in the equation. Y will be 0 minus 2, 0 plus 1, and 3 minus 0. That will be minus 2 times 1 and times 3. That will be minus 6. So it will be somewhere. So on the y-axis should be minus 6 somewhere over here. Let's say this is minus 6. Okay, so now we have shown that the axis, the intercepts on the axis, that's the first good thing we have right now because we have already have a few marks for us. Now we just need to find the shape of this curve, right? So the thing we have to know in O-level as well, if you were to expand these brackets, you will have something in terms of x power 3. So we call this kind of curve a cubic curve. Now, cubic curve can have two shapes. One is it will have a minimum point and then also a maximum point, or we can have a maximum point and then a minimum point. So that's the point. Whenever you have a cubic curve, you will have one of those two shapes. So this one, what shape will it have? If you observe, as you can see, from the left going to the right, you can see that the curve is going down, so you can just join those two. Going down. And then if it goes down, as you can see, it will have to go up again, so we can do that. So going up, doing those two. And then obviously you will have to go down because, as you can see, it has to have a maximum point as well as a minimum point. So the shape will be somewhere like this for your curve. And don't forget to label this as y equal to x minus 2, x plus 1, and 3 minus x. Now, for example, if you do not know how to determine the shape of the curve, so what can you do? Pretty easy as well. You can take a value in between those two. So have minus 1, 2. Let's say I take value of 0. So 0, we know 0 is minus 6. Let's say we take 1. You put 1 in this main equation. It will give you a value which is below, so you know that it has to go down. Here again, you take a value in between, 2.5, you can see the value will be up, so you know that it will have to go up. So in that way, it will be one of those two shapes. It will be the shape for this one. And that will be part 1 of the question. Now for part B, we have to write down the values of x for which this is more than 0. So hence, as you can see, whenever you see hence, you have to know that you have to use the previous answer to answer this question. So previously we have a graph, we have drawn this graph, and if you observe, this is what? This is simply y. It is the equation of that curve is more than 0. So let's go back to the graph to observe when is that true. So this is the line of 0, okay? That is true when it is here, more than 0, and also here. So which means for the value of x, which is less than -1, and for the value of x, which is between 2 and 3, the value of y is more than 0. So this is your answer for part B of the question. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. So given that y equal to this equation, we have to find dy by dx. So the first thing we can see that is it is a fraction, so we have to use the quotient rule. So dy by dx will be, so first we have to write the denominator as it is, so this one, and then we have to multiply d by dx of the numerator. Okay, then minus, we have to take the numerator as it is and then multiply d by dx of the denominator. And next thing is we have to take everything on top, divide by the denominator square. So this is the quotient rule that we use for differentiation whenever we have a fraction. Now, of course, step by step, let's try to find the values. So this one will be the same, x squared plus 1, d by dx of this one will give you exponential 2x minus 3, but multiply by 2 because you have to differentiate the top, that will be 2. Now minus, so this is the way it is, then d by dx of this one will be 2x, and then everything else divide by x squared plus 1 squared. Let's try to simplify this some more. You will have 2 exponential 2x minus 3 multiply by x squared plus 1 minus 2x exponential 2x minus 3, then divide by x squared plus 1 squared. That is A of the question, dy by dx. Now let's move on to part B. Hence, given that y is increasing at a rate of 2 units per second, so hence means you have to use again the previous answer to find this answer. So we know y is increasing, so the rate is dy by dt is given by 2. We have to find the exact rate of change of x. So we have to find dx by dt. So we have to form an equation here by chain rule. So how would you find dx by dt? So let's see. Dx by dt. On top we have dx, we write dx. At the base we have dt, we write dt. Now they will be connected by something. As you can see here, it is y, because in the equation here we have y equal to something x. So they are connected by y. So we write dy and dy. And this is the formula we have to use to find dx by dt. So here we have dy by, if you observe, dy by dt has been given to you here by 2. We just need to find this value here. So dx by dy, what is that value? So we have dy by dx. We can first find this value at x equal to 2 to see what happens. So let's replace in the equation here 2. Let's see what do we have. That will be 2, 4 minus 1, right? 2 times 2 is 4 minus 1. That will be 5 minus 4 exponential 1 divided by 5 squared. That is 4 plus 1 is 5 squared. Simplify, that will be 2 exponential 3 times 5 minus 4 exponential divided by 25. Now simplify, you will have what? This will give you 10 exponential power 3. So it is not power 3. It's a mistake here again. You see, this is 3, this is not 1. So it should be 1, not 3. And then minus 4 exponential over 25. That should be 6 exponential over 25. So this is the exact value of dy by dx, 6 exponential of 25. But here we need the value of dx by dy, so we have to flip this upside down. So from this we conclude that dx by dy is 25 over 6 exponential. Now from this we know all the values we need to know. We just have to replace back in the main equation. So dx by dy will be 25 over 6 exponential multiplied by dy by dt will be 2. That should be 25 over 3 exponential units per second for the rate of change of d of x. That will be question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. So we have f of x equal to this value, 4 ln of 2x minus 1. We have to write down the largest possible domain for function f. So when you can see write down, it is an indication saying that the question should not be hard, it should be pretty easy. And domain is basically, what is the x values? Domain is x values. So write down the largest x values we can have for this. So if you observe, what is the domain we can have? So here we have a ln, which is a logarithm function. So something we have to know in O levels is that logarithm function, let's say we had y here, it is only possible, it is only valid for y is more than 0. You can check. Let's say if I have ln of 2, that should be okay, more than 0. If I have ln of 0, it will not be good. Or ln of a negative value, it will not be good either. So the point is that we know that the value inside here has always to be more than 0. So we have to take 2x minus 1 has to be more than 0. That's the condition for logarithm functions. Now 2x more than 1, x has to be more than half. So this is the domain of x for that function. Now part 2, we have to find f inverse. So step by step, as always, we'll first let y equal to f of x, which is 4 ln of 2x minus 1. Now we have to make x become the subject of formula. So first divide by 4, you will have y over 4 is ln 2x minus 1. Then we have 2x minus 1 is equal to exponential y over 4. So the point here you have to know is, if you have ln of a equal to b, to find a, when you send ln to this side, so to find a, when you send ln to the other side, become exponential b. So that's the point you need to know here. Now we have 2x is equal to 1 plus exponential y over 4. Now next step, x will be half 1 plus exponential y over 4. So finally we have to express, obviously, inverse it is in terms of x, so we have to write half 1 plus exponential of x over 4 for your answer. Okay, so that will be your function f inverse of x. Now again, it is asking you for the domain. Domain means for the x values that the function can take. So what x values can we take? Well, there's many ways to actually find that. So one of the ways is we can draw the graph of this function. If you observe, it will look something like this. Exponential graph always have this kind of shape. So basically, as I can see, it should be something like this. This is x, y. Now, as you can see, you can take any x values. Y will be increasing, doesn't really matter. We don't care about y right now because it is a domain. According to the graph, you can take any x value. So you can say x values for the domain can be any real numbers. So that is one way of finding the domain, is by drawing the graph of this and realize that, hey, you know what, there's no restriction based on the x values. As I can see, you can take any x values and you will always have a graph for any x values. So we realize x can be any real number. That will be the domain of this function. Now for part B, we have g of x equal to this, h of x equal to this function. We have to find this. So one by one, let's first find this one. So g of h of x, that will be root. So it's g first, so it will not be root, so it will be x. So x here will be h of x plus 5. h of x is root 2x minus 3 plus 5 is equal to 7. So root 2x minus 3 has to be 2. 2x minus 3 has to be 4, right? And then 2x has to be 7, and x has to be 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5. So x will be the value of 3.5 for this equation. And that will be your question number 3. Let's move on to question number 4. So here we have a distance time graph. So x, meters, distance, time graph. For a runner, where x is displacement here, okay, displacement is measured in meters and time t is measured in seconds. So on the axis below, we have to draw the velocity time graph for the run. So the main point here we have to understand as we learn about those topics is that one thing we know is that the gradient of a displacement time graph is equal to the velocity, which means the slope of this graph of the distance time graph or displacement time graph will be equal to the velocity. So here we have to draw the velocity of the runner. So what do we do? Step by step, let's look at the shape. As you can see here, from 0 to 50, it is a straight line going upwards. What is the gradient of this line? Let's find out. So pretty easy. So let me write this here. So from 0 to 50, what is the gradient? So I have a way to find gradient. I think it is pretty useful and easy. So I like to look at the right angle triangle. So it is 0 to this point will form a right angle triangle. I like to take the height divided by the base. What is the height of the triangle? It is 100. Base is 50. So it is 2. So it means that the gradient of this part here, of this line, is 2, which means the velocity is 2. So as we know, the gradient of the displacement graph is equal to the velocity. Since we found the gradient, we know this is also equal to the velocity, 2 meters per second. From 0 to 50, it is 2. So 0 to 50, it should be 2. So let's mark this here for now. Okay, the next one, let's see what do we have. We have from 50 to 65. So 50 to 65, what is the gradient of a straight flat line? As we guys know, 50 to 65, whenever the line is flat, it means the gradient is 0, which means v has to be 0. So between 50 to 65, it is 0. So here to here will be 0. The next one again, we have from 65 to 85, so it goes this way. So 65 to 85. So again, we have to find the gradient. So I use my trick, which is the right angle triangle. So we have this one, and this is the height. So what is the height? The height will be this one, which is 50. The base is this one, which is what? Which is 85 minus 65, that should be 20. right? You can always double check. It is always best to double check, but I think I know, but let's check. 20, as you can see. Simplify, that will be 2.5. So basically, from 65 to 85, the velocity is 2.5. So let's write this down. 65 to 85 will be 2.5. This is 2. 2.5 should be right here. Okay, and now the last one will be from 85 to 125. 85 to 125. So let's find the same method. Let's find the gradient. So it is triangle, as you can see, triangle. The height is 150, right? And what is the base? The base is what? 125 minus 85. That is 40. So 150 divided by 40, that should be 3.75. But now there's a catch point. The catch point is that because the gradient is going downwards, as you can see, the slope is downwards, the velocity would have to be negative. Okay, because of that, it is negative 3.75. So for these 2 points, it should be negative 3.75. So it should be, this is 3.575 should be between here. Okay, so now we have it. We can just join them with a straight line. So I would recommend using a ruler for this, but don't do what I'm doing. So always use a ruler for this. So 2 drawn by a straight line like this. This has to be 0. This 2, and then this 2. So always make sure you're using a ruler for this kind of drawing. So that will be your answer for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to find the total distance traveled by the runner in the 125 second. So pretty easy. So since this is displacement time graph, so we have to look at piece by piece. So when he is going in one direction, it will be displacement. As you can see, from 0 to 85, he ran from this to this point, which is 150. And now from this to this point, he ran this same distance again, which is 150, but in the opposite direction. So which means the total distance traveled, it is actually 300. Okay, that is one way of looking at this. But now if you're confused, you can always come back to this and find the distance traveled by area under the graph. Okay, up to you. You can find the area of this triangle. Well, if you draw the dotted lines, you can see there will be a few shapes that can help you with that. For example, okay, you can find the area of this rectangle, and this rectangle. You add them together, you will also have 300. So your distance traveled will be 300 meters. So the only thing here is because this is displacement and not distance traveled, that's why you have to have different sections to look at. So this is going in one direction. So whenever you go in one direction, you find this distance, right, which is 150 from this point. And then whenever you go in the opposite direction, you will see it as decreasing. So it will be also another portion, but it will be adding to the first one to find the distance traveled. So if you're confused, no big deal. You can always just go to this one, or you can just try piece by piece to understand. It should give you 300 meters for the distance traveled, not the displacement. For example, here, if I were to ask you, okay, from 0 to 85, what is the displacement of the runner? You would say, okay, so 0 to 85, I can see that it goes up, so displacement will be 150. Pretty easy. Now, from 0 to 125, what is the displacement of the runner? As you can see, so displacement, I can see that he went up, but at this time, I can see he came back to the same point, so displacement will be 0. I hope that makes sense. Displacement and distance travel are two different things. We have to understand the concepts of those two. Okay, but anyways, this will be part A of the question. Let's move on to part B. Now the displacement x of a particle from a fixed point is given by this formula. So we have to find the acceleration of the particle at this time. So one thing we have to know is that velocity is equal to dx by dt. Okay, but now we want to find the acceleration. Acceleration is equal to dv by dt. So which means we have to first find v and then find a. So what is v? V will be dx by dt. So here we have x, so dx by dt, we have to differentiate this function. So 6 will be 6, it is only a multiple. Cos will become what? Minus sine. Inside will be the same, right? And then we have to multiply by the differentiation of the inside of the angle, so it will be 3. Will be minus 18 sine 3t plus this. Now we have to find a, which is dv by dt. So one more time differentiating, so minus 18 will be the same. Sine will become cos. The angle inside will be the same. Then we have to multiply by d by dx of the angle inside, that will be 3. And that should be minus 54 cos of 3t plus pi by 3. So let's check. So 18 times 3 should be 54. Good. So now we have a, but the question is asking for what is the value of a when t is equal to 2 pi over 3. So let's replace t by this value in this equation. So minus 54 cos, we have 3 times t is 2 pi over 3 plus pi over 3, that will be minus 27. So the answer is minus 27 meters per second square for the acceleration. So make sure you have the correct unit as well for acceleration. This is part B of question number 4. Now question number 5, we have to find the, given the coefficient of x squared in this expansion is this, we have to find the value of it. So step by step, how would you expand this? So you would first take 1, this one, multiply by the bracket, right? And then you will take this one, which is plus x, multiplied by the bracket. So in this example, we only care about the expansion, the coefficient of x squared. So if you were to expand this, 1 times what give you something in x squared? So let's see. If you were to expand this, you will have n, choose something that we don't know yet. First term is 1. Second term is minus x over 2. But if you need something in x squared, you will have to have square here. If you have 2 here, you will have 2 here. And here you will have n minus 2. Okay? Now same steps, plus x. X times what will give you something in x squared? So you will have n, choose something we don't know yet. 1, and then x over 2, this one. Now, x times something in x power 1 will give you something in x squared. So we know this needs to be 1. If this is 1, this has to be 1, and this will be n minus 1. So simplify. So this is 1, that will be n, choose 2, times 1, times x squared over 4, plus x times n, choose 1 is just n, you have to know, because if you can try, 5, 6, choose 1, 6, 9, choose 1 is 9, so n choose 1 will be n, and then this will be 1, and then this will be minus x over 2. So simplify again, n choose 2 we don't know, that's okay, but we know this will be 4 here, and that will be x squared, and here will be minus n over 2 x squared. Factorize the x squared outside, you will have n choose 2 over 4 minus n over 2, factorize the x squared outside. Now let's see what do we have. So we know that the coefficient of x squared is given by this value, right? So we know this has to be 25 over 4. So we have to equate this to this. So right now we have a new equation, which is n choose 2 over 4 minus n over 2 has to give you 25 over 4. Okay, so that is our main equation. We have to solve for the value of n. So let's first simplify the equation. As you can see, we have 4 here, 2 here, and 4 here. We want to eliminate the base. We can just multiply by 4 everywhere. You will have n choose 2 minus 2n equal to 25. Now, how would you simplify this? So you don't need to memorize this. You will be given a formula for this as well. If you can see here, this is given to you. For example, let me write this down here for you as well. So it will be here. So if you have n choose r, it will give you n factorial over n minus r factorial times r factorial. So which means if I replace this in the formula here, will be what? Let's see. So if of n choose 2, that will be n factorial over n minus 2 factorial times 2 factorial. So that will be n factorial over n minus 2 factorial times, this is 2 factorial will be what? This 2, so that will be 2. Now, of course, this can be simplified, but I want to explain how to simplify this before we do it actually. So let me explain. So first, what is 2 factorial? For example, you would say this is 2 times 1. What is 3 factorial? It is 3 times 2 times 1, but it can also be written as 3 times 2 factorial, right? So same way, n factorial is what? It is n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 times, keep going on, right? But I can also write this as n times n minus 1, but instead of keeping to write the rest, as you can see here, I don't want to write the rest, I can just write n minus 2 factorial. So if I replace this by this on top, you can see that you will have what? You will have n times this times n minus 2 factorial over n minus 2 factorial times 2. So these two cancel out. So you will have n times n minus 1 over 2. So basically this whole thing here becomes this one. Okay? Replace back in your equation, you will have n times n minus 1 over 2 minus 2n equal to 25. Now you want to, of course, eliminate the base. You have to multiply by 2. Everywhere you will have n minus 1 times n minus 4n equal to 50. Now simplify, that will be n squared minus n minus 4n equal to 50. Simplify, n squared minus 5n minus 50 will be 0. Now we can factorize 2 brackets because we have n squared. Now it'll be n times n. What is 50? 50 is 5 times 10, right? So 10 here and 5. To get minus 5, we have to have minus 10 and plus 5. So n can be 10 or n can be minus 5. Obviously, it is asking for a positive value of n here, so n can only be 10. So our answer will be n will be 10 for your answer. And that is your question number 5. Now let's move on to question number 6. It is known that y equal to this equation, where a and b are constants. Now, when log y is plotted against x squared, a straight line passing through those points is obtained. So one thing we have to realize here is, I think from paper 1, paper 4024, we realized that the equation of a straight line is y equal to mx plus c. This is when y is plotted against x. So it is the same concept here again as well. We just replace the y, x by these two. When log y is plotted against x squared, we have a straight line. So it means that we will have a graph, an equation which looks like this. Log y against x squared should give you something in this form as a straight line. So we have to find a way to express this as this. So let's do that. So we have y equal to a times 10 power bx squared. So to obtain log y, we have to apply log on both sides. That's the logic, right? Okay, so now we have to simplify. So let's see what can we do. So that will be log y, and that will be log a plus log 10 bx squared. Simplify. Now, what is log? LG, it is basically log to the power of 10. I mean, not power, but to the base of 10. So we have log this, log of a. So we can first send the power to the beginning, will be bx squared times log of 10. Now, something we have to know is that if you have log to the base of a and also a, it will give you 1. So here we have log to the base of 10, this should become 1. So finally, you will have something as log of y equal to bx squared plus log of a, which looks a lot like our former equation, which is log of y. M is the gradient, which is b, which is the gradient here. And then x squared is x squared, c, this is the y-intercept. Now we have to use this to find the equation, to find the value of a and b. As you can see, b here is the gradient. We know the passing point, which is 3.63 and 525, as well as 4.83 and 6.88. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's simplify this. M, which is b, has to give you 6.88 minus 5.25 over the value of 4.83 minus 3.63. So let's find out. That will be 1.36 for the value of b. But let's try again. I always tend to make mistakes in those kind of questions. Let me try again. 6.88 minus 5.25 divided by 4.83 minus 3.63. Yep, seems to be fine. 1.36 as the value of b. Now let's find the value of a. So pretty easy as well. How would you find the value of a? We have to go back to the equation for the value of a. So for example, sorry about that. So right now we know what? Right now we know that the value of log of y, we don't know yet, that doesn't matter. b is given by 1.36 x squared, and we have plus log of a. Okay, that's the main equation right now. So we have to use a point to help us to find the value of a. So the passing point we can use is 3.63, 5.25. The first value here is x squared. This one will be log of y. So it is the same. I think it can be hard to understand at first, but it is the same logic. For example, when you have a graph of y against x is plotted, right? You have a point, let's say you have a point 0,1. You would say this is x, this is y. But now in this case, we have a graph of log y against x squared. So because of that, the first one has to be x squared. This has to be log y. The same logic applies to different variables. Okay, going back, replace, you will have 5.25 equal to 1.36 multiplied by 3.63 plus log of a. Okay, so you have 5.25 minus 1.36 times 3.63. That is, log of a has to be 0.3132. A has to be 10 power 0.3132. That will be 2.0568, which is 2.06, correct to 3SF. Okay, that will be the values of A and B for the part A of the question. Now, using these values of A and B, we have to find the value of y when x equal to this. So right now we have the equation, which is log y equal to 1.36 x squared. Here we have log a, so we have a is this, log a is this value, so let's write down log a is 0.3132. That is our equation of the line. Now part B, find the value of y when x is this, so let's do that. Log y will be 1.36 times x is 2 square plus 0.3132 times 4 plus 0.3132, that will be this value. So log of y will be 5.7532. So y has to be 10 power this value. So 10 power answer, that will be 566,500. So now you can write this correct to 3SF because it is not an exact value, so it can be 567,000 as your answer for part B. Now for part C, we have to find the value of x when y is this. So same thing, we place back in your equation. So log of 4, right, y equal to 1.36 x squared plus 0.3132. So I have to make this become subject. So 1.36 x squared will be log of 4 minus 0.3132. So x squared will be what? Let's see. Log of 4 minus 0.3132 divided by 1.36, that will give you this value, which is 0.21239. So x have to be square root of that value. That will be 0.461 as my value for x. Of course, for the positive value for x as my answer for question number 6. Now we have to move on to question number 7. So let's see what. Okay, so let's move on to question number 7. So the polynomial p of x is given by this expression. Now a and b are constants, as you can see. Now we have a factor of x plus 4. So it has a factor of this. So one thing we have to think whenever a expression has a factor is we have to use the remainder theorem, which means that if you want to put the value of x, so what is the value of x? So we have to do x plus 4 is equal to 0, so x will be minus 4. So if you were to put the value of x to be minus 4, that will give you a remainder of 0. So that's something we have to kind of know. Whenever an expression has a factor, we put the value of x in the expression. It should give you a remainder of 0 because it is a factor. It is divided exactly by this factor. So that's the first thing we know from that line. Now, n is such that 2p1 is equal to 5p0. So we have to use those information to show that this is true. So one by one, let's first write this down. So p of minus 4 is 0, so we have minus 4 here will be what? A times minus 4 cube plus b minus 4 square minus 19 times minus 4 plus 4 have to give you 0 because it is a factor, which means remainder will be 0. Now simplify. What is minus 4 power 3? Let's find out. You will have minus 64. Minus 64a plus 16b. What is minus 19 times minus 4? That will be 76 plus 4 have to be 0. Simplify. You will have minus 64a plus 16b plus 80 is 0. Now we can simplify all this. We can divide everywhere by 16. So you will have minus 4a plus b. 80 divided by 16 will be 5. So plus 5 have to be 0. So our first equation will be b is equal to 4a minus 5. That is our first equation. Now we have to use this one. So 2p1, which is 2p1, which is x is 1. So you will have a plus b minus 19 plus 4 is equal to 5. P0 will be 4. Divide by 2. You will have a plus b minus 15 has to be 10. A plus b have to be 25. Yeah, that is our second equation. Now we can solve simultaneously to find the values of a and b. So let's do that. B is this, replace here. A plus b, b is 4a minus 5, a is 25. That will be 5a is 30, a will be 6. Now from this we can find the value of b. B is 4 times 6 minus 5, which is 24 minus 5, and that will be 19. Now we place back in our main equation, so this is done. So p of x, we know now it is ax cubed. A is 6x cubed plus 19x squared minus 19x plus 4. But now we have to express this in terms of this. So pretty easy, because we do know that the factor of p of x is x plus 4, so we can just divide by x plus 4 and see what is the remainder, right? Not remainder, but the value we have after dividing by x plus the quotient, I would say. So that will be this plus 19x squared, 19x plus 1. Okay, so how can you make x become 6x cubed multiplied by 6x squared? You will have 6x cubed times this as well, so plus 24x squared. So cancel out. 19 minus 24 will be minus 5x squared minus 19x plus 4. Now multiply by minus 5x, right? So you will have minus 5x squared minus 20x minus, so minus 19 minus minus 20, that will be plus x plus 4. Now we have x here, so multiply by plus 1, you will have x plus 4, and remainder will be 0, so it is exact factor. So now we know that p of x is equal to x plus 4, 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. So by comparing with this, you can conclude that A was 6, B is minus 5, and C will be 1. And that is your answer for part A. Now for part B, hence factorize this. So hence mean we have to use the previous one, which is P of x is equal to x plus 4 times 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. So factorize x plus 4, 2 brackets. So what is 6x squared? It could be 3x times 2x. What is 1? 1 is 1 times 1. Now we want minus 5. We have to have minus 3 and minus 2 to get minus 5. And this will be the factorization of p of x. Okay, that will be a part B of the question. Now part C, we have to find the remainder when p prime of x is divided by x. Okay, so what is p prime of x? It is simply d by dx of p of x. So let's do that. So we know p of x is given by, we found it was 6x cubed plus 19x squared minus 19x plus 4. So p prime of x will be what? 18x squared plus 38x minus 19. This will become 0. Now, when you divide by x, now what is exactly x, right? X is x plus 0. Now you want to find the value of x to divide with. Just like this, right? We have to find the value of x, so we have to equate that to 0. Equate to 0, so x is 0. So replace the value here, but p prime of x is 0. That will be 0 plus 0 minus 19. So your answer will be minus 19 as the remainder for this division. So this is your question number 7. Let's move on to question number 8. So in this question, all the length are in centimeters. That is good to know. Let's move on. So the diagram shows ABC, and the arc AB is part of a circle. This is arc AB. Center O and radius R, as you can see here, is of length 1.45 r. The point O lies on the straight line CB with this length. Okay, good, no worries. Now part 1, we have to find in radians the angle AOB. So we have to find this angle. So pretty easy, because we know that AOB is a sector of a circle and AB is the arc. So we have to use that to find the angle. So arc length, as we know, it is given by the formula radius times the angle is equal to, we know it is 1.45 r. Now radius, we know it is r. The angle we don't know, 1.45 r. So to find radius, to find this one, we have to divide by r. You will have 1.45. So this is your value. Angle AOB will be 1.45 radians. Okay, that is part A. Now for part B, we have to find the area of ABC, giving you an answer in form of this, where K is the constant. So let's see how can you find the area of ABC. So A, B, and C. So I would say let's break this down into two pieces. Let's call this piece number 1 and piece number 2. So let's find number 1 first. Number 1 is pretty easy. It is simply area of a sector of a circle AOB. Formula is half r squared and the angle theta. Let's call this theta. So half is half, radius is r squared, angle as we have found out it is 1.45. That is part 1. So let's just simplify. Half times 1.45, that will be 0.725 r squared for the area of number 1. Now what is the area of number 2? Let's see. Number 2, how can we find this one? Now if you observe, we know this is radius, this is also radius, and we know this angle. So since we know this one, we have to know this one. Let's call this alpha. So what is angle alpha? Alpha will be 180, which is pi, minus 1.45, which is theta. Okay? So to find the area of triangle AOC, formula is half times the two sides, which is 0.5 r, and then 1 r, and then sine of the angle in between, which is alpha. So let's see what do we get. Obviously, we will not multiply r. Let's take r outside and multiply the rest. Half. So that will become r squared. So r times r will be r squared outside, and then multiply the rest. Half times 0.5 times 1, and times sine of alpha is pi minus 1.45. Needs to be in terms of radians. You have 0.248. Let's see, that's it. So from this we can see that we have to add those two together. So number 1 plus number 2. So 1 is 0.725 all square plus 0.248 all square. Factorize all square outside, you will have what? 0.725 plus 0.248, that will be 0.973. So the answer will be 0.973 all square, and this is a constant which is kr square as required for your answer. So your answer will be 0.973 all square, where k is the constant. That will be question part B. Now let's move on to part C of the question. So given that the perimeter of ABC is 12, find the value of R. So let's do that. So first off, how would you find the perimeter? It is the distance around the shape, ABC. It is this one is CB is 1.5 R, AB is this one, so we have to find AC. We don't know AC yet. So how would you find the length of AC? If you observe, we know this side, we know this side, and we know the angle in between. We can find this by using the cosine rule. So let me draw this again. We have a triangle. Right? We know the angle here is alpha. We know this is 0.5 R. This is 1 R. And we want to find this side. This is A, O, C. So we want to find this side, we have to use the cosine rule. So pretty easy. So we can use cosine rule when we have the angle in between. We know the two sides and we want to find the other side. Okay. So the formula is cos of the angle alpha is equal to, it will be this square, which is R square. This square will be, what is 0.5 square? Check. That will be 0.25 minus this one AC square divided by 2 times this side and the other side. Okay, now we have to solve for this value. So first thing, we can just multiply this here. You will have R square cos of alpha is R square plus 0.25 R square minus AC square. Now let's make this become the subject. So AC square will be 1.25 R square minus cos alpha R square. So AC square will be what? Factorized. So 1.25 minus cos of alpha. So alpha, as we have seen from the previous question, we say that alpha was basically this angle, which is pi minus 1.45. So pi minus 1.45. So cos is pi minus 1.45. That will give you 1.37 something. Is that right? Let me try again. So cos of pi minus 1.45 will be this. 1.25 minus answer. So cos of pi minus 1.45 is minus 0.1205. So 1.25 minus 0.1205 will be this one. Okay, which is good. So AC will be square root of 1.37 all square. So square root of that will be 1.17. All square will become R. So we have seen that AC is 1.17 R. Now, going back to the main diagram, we know that this side is 1.5 plus 1.45 and plus AC should give you the perimeter. So let's write down. Perimeter is 1.5, which is the base, plus 1.45, which is the arc, and then plus AC, which is 1.17 R, should give you 12 centimeters. 1.5 plus 1.45 plus 1.17, that should be 4.12. R is 12. So R has to be 12 divided by answer, that will be 2.91 as your value for the radius. This is in terms of centimeters, correct to 3SF. That will be question number 8. Now let's move on to question number 9. So the diagram shows the triangles OAC, okay? The point B is the midpoint of OC. So from this, I can realize that if B is the midpoint of OC, and if OB is B, it means that BC should also be B, because it is the midpoint, right? Now the point Y lies on AC, okay, such that OY, this is the line OY, intersects the line AB at the point X. The ratio is AX is 3, this is 1. That's the ratio of AX to XB. It is given that OA is A and OB is B. Okay, that is given to you, no big deal. Now part 1, find OX in terms of A and B, giving your answer in its simplest form. So where's OX? As you can see, OX. So whenever you have these kind of questions, always use the diagram to see how can you find the answer. So OX, I need to start from O. I can go to O, A, and then A to X. So I know according to the diagram, OX can be OA plus AX, right? So what is OA given to you by A? Now what is AX? As you can see, AX is part of AB. It is 3. So the whole thing is 4. AX is 3 over 4 of AB, right? As you can observe on the diagram. Okay, now what is AB? AB is OB minus OA. OB is given by B minus A. That will be A plus 3 over 4 B minus A. That will be A plus 3 over 4B minus 3 over 4A. So simplify. A minus this will be 1 over 4A plus 3 over 4B. And that is OX simplified in terms of A and B. That is part A. Now part B, we have to find AC in terms of AB. So again, go back to your diagram. So what is AC? So we have to begin from A to go to C. If you observe, I can do A going to B and then B going to C to go to C, right? So let's write this down. AC can be A go to B plus B going to C. Again, it is according to the diagram. So AB, as we have seen here, it is B minus A. So B minus A will be what? B minus A, and plus BC. What is BC? BC is B because B is the midpoint of OC, so it is the same. So B, it will be 2B minus A. That is part B of the question, which is AC. The next one, given that OY is this, find AY in terms of this. So let's observe, where's OY? OY, O going to Y. How can you find this? Beginning from O, we can go O to A, and then A to Y. So let's write that. So O going to A, and then A going to Y is H times OX. OX we have found in part A. OX was given by 1 over 4A plus 3 over 4B, which means AY is this one, the whole thing, minus OA, which is A. This is your answer for part C. Now for part D, given that AY is given by this, find the value of H and M. So AY is given by H 1 over 4A plus 3 over 4b minus a given by m times AC. Now, as you have seen here from part B, AC is given by this one, 2b minus a. So let's write this down. Let's simplify. So let's simplify this. You have 1 over 4 AH plus 3 over 4 BH minus A. That will be 2MB minus MA. Simplify. On this side, you will have 1 over 4 AH minus A. That will be one side. Plus 3 over 4 H on B. That is the other one. Equal to minus MA plus 2MB. Now we have to compare the coefficients. This one is equal to this one. So we have 3 over 4 H should be 2M. That is the first equation. And this one, let me first factorize. You have 1 over 4H minus 1. Take out A so we can compare the coefficients. So here we have 1 over 4B minus 1 is equal to minus M. So from this we realize that M is simply 1 minus 1 over 4B. So replace back in the main thing, you will have 3 over 4H is equal to 2M. M is 1 minus 1 over 4B. Now simplify. 3 over 4H is 2 minus 1 over 2B. Now we have the base of 4, base of 2. So let's simplify that. Let's multiply by 4, the bigger number, right? You will have 3H equal to 8 minus 4B. Okay, so we have this right now. What else do we have? Oh, this is actually H. So I don't know where it would be. This is H. This is H, not B. This is H. And this should be H, not B. Okay, so let me send this over here. You'll have 3H plus 4H has to be 8. 7H will be 8. H will be 8 over 7. Now going back to this one, M has to be 1 minus 1 over 4 times 8 over 7. That will be 2, which is 1 minus 2 over 7. That will be 5 over 7. Okay, that will be part D of the question for the values of M and H. That will be question number 9. Okay, so let's move on to question number 10. So we have to show that the left-hand side equals to the right-hand side. So pretty easy. As you can see that the base are different, so we have to make them become the same. So we first multiply them by each other, which is x plus 1 multiplied by 3x plus 10. Then we have to cross multiply. You will have 3x plus 10 plus 2x plus 2. That should be 5x plus 12, and if you were to expand this, you will have 3x squared plus 10x plus 3x plus 10. And that will give you 5x plus 12 over 3x squared plus 13x plus 10. This is shown as required. That is part A. Now let's move on to part B. As you can see, we have a curve here, which is y equal to, hey, it is actually from the first part, right? So we have to use this somewhere, so keep this in mind. This is basically the same as this, right? Okay, anyways. Now, we have the line x equal to 2 and a straight line of radiant 1. This is the radiant is 1 of QP. Now the curve intersects the y-axis at the point P, okay, as you can see here, at the point P, and the line of gradient 1 passes through P and also intersects the x-axis at the point Q, which is here. Now find the area of the shaded region giving you answer in the form of this. Okay, so let's break this down one by one. As always, I like to break every question into pieces so it is easier for us to find the answer. So if you observe here, this big area can be broken down into two parts. One is, I can break this down for number one, which is the triangle, and then number two for area on the graph. So how can we find one by one? So let's first look at those 2 points. Let's first find point P and point Q. Let's do that first. So point P is the intersection on the y-axis of the curve. So as you guys know by now, at y-axis, what do we know? We know that x has to be 0. We place in this equation. So y will be 12 over 10, which is 1.2. So the point P is 0, 1.2. Okay, so if you have a point, you have the gradient, we can find the equation of the line, right? So y, this is xy, so y minus 1.2 over x minus 0 will equal to 1 because the gradient is 1. So cross multiply, y minus 1.2 is equal to x. So y is equal to x plus 1.2. So this is the equation of this line QP, which is y is x plus 1.2. Now we want to find the point Q. As you can see, it is on the x-axis. So same technique, we say that at x-axis, what do we know? We know that y is equal to 0. So x will be minus 1.2. So Q will be the point minus 1.2 and then 0. That will be the point right here. Okay, so minus 1.2. And this is 1.2, right? So for number one, to find the area of that piece, as you can see, it's pretty easy now. It is area of a right angle triangle. So number one, we have times base. Base is this length, will be 1.2. And times height, which will be this length, that will be 1.2 as well. So half times 1.2 times 1.2, that will be 0.72 for area of number one. Now, how can you find area number two? As you can see, it is clearly area under the curve between 0 and x2. So number two will be area between 2 and 0 for the limits, and it is y by dx, which is the curve, right, y. Now, the reason why I made note that this is the same as this is because we actually do not want to be using this for integration. It is much harder, so we have to use this one. It is much easier. So we know that this is equal to 2, 0, 1 over x plus 1 plus 2 over 3x plus 10 by dx. So we have to integrate this one. So one by one you will have what? So first one will be ln of the value here will be x plus 1, okay? And here we have 2 will be outside, no big deal. And ln of the value here will be 3x plus 10. But now we have to divide by 3. Why? Because we have to divide by the differentiation of the value inside. So here also we did the same thing. We also divided by the value inside, but it's just because d by dx of this value, it is 1, so it is not changing anything. We don't usually write this, but here, as you can see, it is 3. It will change the equation, so that's why we have to write this. So just to recap, when you have to do integration of 1 over x by dx, it is ln of the value here, which is x, but we have to divide by d by dx of the value here will be 1. That's why we have this. Same thing if you had this, let's say, we have 2x plus 1. That will be ln of the value here, which is 2x plus 1, but we also have to divide by d by dx of this will be 2. So this is how we integrate those kind of values. So right now we have this, we have to rewrite this. We have ln of x plus 1 plus 2 over 3 ln of 3x plus 10 between the limits of 2 and 0. Okay, so now we have to continue solving. So let's see. So let me write this down again so we can have a better understanding. So ln of 3x plus 10 between the limits of 2, 0. So first replace the values of 2 here. You will have ln 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 2 over 3 ln of 6, that will be 16, okay, and then minus, that will be ln of 1 plus 2 over 3 ln of 10. So that will be ln of 3 plus 2 over 3 ln of 16 minus, this is 0, so this will become minus 2 over 3 ln of 10. Now we can simplify a little bit. You'll see what happens. So we have ln of 3 here. If you factorize 2 over 3 here, you will have ln of 16 minus ln of 10, which will become ln of 3 plus 2 over 3, combining them will be ln of 16 divided by 10. Now one more time we can simplify again. You will have ln of 3 plus 2 over 3, that will be ln of 8 over 5. Okay, so now this is the area of number 2. If you observe, it is asking us, giving your answer in terms of this. So let's write this down. So you want your answer to be a plus 2 over 3 ln of b root 3. You want your answer to look something like this. So something we realize already is that our area will be area of the triangle, which is A, as we have observed, right? It should be triangle number 1, which is this, and plus number 2. Number 2 have to be something like this. So how can we express this in this way? Now we have to combine these two together. But as you can see, we have common here is 2 over 3. So how can we get 2 over 3 here? Okay, if you observe, ln 3 can also be written as 2 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 2 ln 3, right? Because it is, if you simplify, it will be the same thing. Now by writing this like this, I can say 2 over 3 ln 3, we send this as the power, that will be 3 over 2. Okay, so what else can we do now? We can also simplify. So that will be 2 over 3. So if you observe, it is 3 power 3, and power half is square root. Now you have to know what? You have to know that we can break this down if you want to. It can be 3 power 2 times 3. Okay, now that will be 2 over 3 ln of 3 outside, because 3 power 2 can be simplified to 3, and then root of 3 remaining. So basically the point is we can write this as this. Okay, now if you bring this back up, you will have what? So this will give you 2 over 3 ln 3 root 3 plus 2 over 3 ln of 8 over 5. So simplify, you will have 2 over 3 outside, that will be ln of, so that will be a ln, because we have plus, we have to multiply, so this plus multiply 8 over 5. So simplify, 2 over 3 outside ln of 24 over 5 root 3. This is your area number 2 simplified form as needed. So eventually, as you can see, our area will be A is 0.72 plus this one will be 2 over 3 ln B is 24 over 5 root 3. And this is your answer for part 10, question number 10. Now we have, I think we have one more question left, question number 11. Okay, so let's move on to 11. So given that 2 cos x equals 3 tan x, we have to show we have this equation. So one by one, obviously, we know that tan x is equal to sin x divided by cos x. Replace, you will have 2 cos x is 3 times sin x over cos x. Okay, now we can cross multiply, so this is over 1. You will have 2 cos square x is 3 sin x. Now we can replace this by 1 minus sine square x. That is 3 sine x. That will be 2 minus 2 sine square x equal to 3 sine x. So simplify, you will have 2 sine square x plus 3 sine x minus 2 is 0. And this is shown as required, right? This is all we need to show here. Now, part B, hence, okay, as you can see, we see hence. Hence means we have to use the previous answer to answer this question. So we have to solve this for 0 to pi radians, giving you answers in terms of pi. So pretty easy. The only difference between the first part and this part is the angle here is much complex. So let's just assume this is x, this is x. So we know that this was transformed to sine square x plus 3 sine x minus 2 is 0. So for example, right now we are assuming that we have to solve this equation. We have just replaced the angle back to x. So factorize. That will be 2 sine x times sine x. 2 is 2 times 1, so 2 times 1. To get plus 3, we have to have plus 4 and minus 1. So 2 sine x minus 1 is 0, and sine x plus 2 is 0. So let's make sine x become the subject. That will be half, and sine x will be minus 2. So this will not be possible because we know that sine x can only be between the value of minus 1 and 1. It cannot go to minus 2. That's why it will not be possible. Now we only have one value to solve here. Let's solve one by one. I would say let's first solve for the value of x. As you can see, it is positive. So where sine is positive? It is positive in the first quadrant and also in the second quadrant. First is just the value of the angle, which is x, and this will be 180 minus x, which is pi minus x. Okay, so let's first find x. X will be sine inverse of half, which is 30 degrees, which will be pi by 6. Now the other angle will be pi minus this will be 5 pi over 6. Okay, so for now we have what? Let's write this down. For now we have x is equal to pi by 6, but also 5 pi by 6. But of course, we are not trying to find x here. We are trying to find the angle here, right? So we know that x was assumed to be 2 alpha plus pi by 4. That's the main thing we have to consider. So now we have to put this back. So we have 2 alpha plus pi over 4 is pi by 6 and 5 pi by 6. Now, the thing is, whenever we have a double angle, if you realize we have 2 times the angle here, we have to be careful because you don't want to miss some values. So what I do is I like to add 2 pi and 2 pi to those values to have another angle to help us to find any other angles if it's not missing. So again, whenever you have the double angle here, 2 before the angle, add 2 pi to this, add 2 pi to this. So basically 2 pi plus 1 over 6, let's see, that will be 2 plus 1 over 6, that will be, so let's expand this, that will be 2, that will be 13 over 6 pi, and this again, that will be what? That will be, so 2 pi plus this, that will be 17 over 6 pi, right? Yep, that should be it. Now I can see we are working with 4 angles, so we don't miss any of them. That's why we do that. And now we have to solve for the value of pi. So first, we have to minus this one. So 1 over 6 minus 1 over 4, that will be minus 1 over 12. And then 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4, that will be 7 over 12. 13 over 6 minus 1 over 4, that will be, so this is what? This is 1, 11, 12, so which is 1, 11, 12, which is basically 1 times 12 is 12, plus this will be 23 over 12. Pi, and last one, minus 17 over 6 minus 1 over 4, that will be 2, 7 over 12, so 24 plus 7, that will be 31 over 12. So 31 over 12 pi. But again, now we have to finally find the value of this. So pi will be what? Divided by 2, that will be minus 1 over 24 pi. That will be what? So 7 over 24 divided by 2. That will be 7, sorry. That will be 7 over 12 divided by 2 will be 7 over 24 pi. And this will be 23 over 24 pi. This will be 31 over 24 pi. So this will be the values of alpha for which satisfy the equation. But now again, alpha has some condition. Alpha is between the values of 0 and pi. That's the main condition here. So we have to eliminate some values. As you can see, it is not negative out, and this is more than 1 pi. So finally, we have the values of 7 over 24 pi, 23 over 24 pi for the values of alpha. And this is your answer for question number 11. Okay, so that was the last question of this paper. I hope that was somewhat helpful. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you soon.